How's it going, YouTube? It's Hobby Spot NZ here, and today we're talking about Gilgalad. And we're going to be talking about, this is my favourite character, so I've got a heap to talk about Gilgalad. And here in front of me, we've got a couple versions of him. We've got your standard. It's just, your normal, the ones that you get from GW. And then we've got a converted one, not too much to convert there, just a head swap basically, and a bit of green stuffing the hair. And then we have unreleased miniatures. This is the Gil-galad mounted. So you're going to be talking about them and what sort of my color schemes were and things like that. I know this guy's featured in one of the first videos I did, but I'll talk a wee bit about the other two and about how Gil-galad games and what he's like. So Gil-galad is the Elven King, basically. He's the boss man of the whole operation, and unfortunately he dies in the Battle of the Last Alliance against Sauron. So he's killed by Sauron, which is a bit of a shame, but he is pretty much Elven boss man, and he dishes out a bit of damage on the field. So he's got some pretty good stats. You guys all know his stats. You've probably played him before or seen him being played, but he's got some pretty decent stats. He's got really high fight. He's got an awesome rule with his spear where he gets to one less on the dice roll. So it kind of works like a lance, I guess. And yeah, he's just an all-round kind of a tanky hero. He's got a really good standfast as well of 12 inches. So the models that I got here have sort of got a blue and gold kind of a theme to them. I wanted to sort of match the rest of my Elven army, and I'll just pan around here, and I wanted to match the rest of my Elven army. This mounted model here from Unreleased is a really cool model. I sort of super highlighted him a wee bit, but there's still a wee bit of work to be done on blending some more bits in. He's got a really cool shield. In terms of the model itself, it was pretty hard to put together. I ended up having to make like a kind of like an L-shaped pin like that, and it was right at his sort of his hips, just because they weren't kind of lined up quite nice. I'm not sure about other people's ones, but he was a bit hard for me to get together. And then I green stuffed in around sort of his, if we can focus in here, around his belly and there. I made a pretty good job of sort of painting over it, but you can see up under there, that's where the joint is, and there was about, I'd say, 2 mil gap, so it was quite a decent sized gap, but that's what green stuff's for, I suppose. So yeah, so I've played Gil-galad quite a bit and with my matches and things like that. I play him a lot at sort of low point costs, so sort of like 600 points I like to play him at, because he's 600 points, a lot of people aren't taking big shutdown heroes like wizards and stuff like that too. So I like to take him for that sort of thing. He's really good at chopping through troops, so whenever I make a list I find that having him as my leader is always a toss-up, because I want him to be able to get into battle, be able to get surrounded and be able to kill 3 or 4 models or something like that each turn, and be able to do big damage. But at the same time, when he's your leader, there's a risk of him actually getting a wound or being killed, maybe. I always take him with a shield generally, so I always pay the extra for the shield. And if I take him on a horse, generally I have him in a mounted lists, so I won't bother having him mounted in a foot list, because he ends up just getting too far away from his troops, or he hangs too far back, and then with spells and that as well, he can get targeted and go 10 inches one way or another way, or 5 inches rather. So I don't really tend to do that as much. I like to keep him sort of at the flanks. I do like to have him on foot if I can. And yeah, so this is a bit of a new layout too. This is the some new terrain that I thought I'd mention. I got it from actually a guy off one of our trade pages, and it's a beautiful little pub actually. And on the inside, it's probably got there's a bit to do on the inside, but hopefully I want to get like a bar down in this corner. And then have that table and have some, maybe some civilian models. So if anyone knows any good civilian models to buy, then I'll probably put some of those in there and have like a little bar environment. And I eventually want that to be playable. And unfortunately the door doesn't open, but I think it'd be cool to have that in play. And of course we've got some different terrain here as well, which I have been sort of accumulating over the last sort of 6 months. So yeah, that was Gil-galad and a little brief terrain preview for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll do one last spin. I didn't really talk about this guy here, but he's pretty much... It was pretty a simple conversion. It was just chopping off the head of a spearman and putting that on and putting a spear on his back. I mean, it wasn't overly big. The colours I've already talked about in the other video, so you can go check that out, as well as my first video about the album force. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and please sub for more videos.